This hour, we're looking into understanding some of the things that we've seen that actually have grabbed the headlines in terms of, past leaders and what they can or cannot do. And of course, prescribed or suggested by whom. To help us in this conversation this morning, strategic advisor Fredrick Okang'o is here with us this morning. Fred, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good to see you.
This is the only way to start my morning.
Absolutely.
I'm going to spice it.
You should make a t-shirt and wear it in other places as well.
I will be promoting the brand, so you have to pay me.
We'll take what you said and use that. A very good morning also to Joseph Manje, who's the Deputy Party Leader, Jubilee. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
You're doing okay, sir?
I am doing okay.
Karibu Sana, thank you for being here this morning. We're going to get into it, but before we do, Dennis has taken us somewhere this week.
Today we are in Eritrea, the country that gained independence in 1993 after 30-year war with Ethiopia. So it is considered to be a country that is least developed based on research that was done in 2025. So we talk about poor internet connectivity, and it's a country where if you travel, you must have money in cash because they do not have ATMs. But let's go to the proverb. A camel keeps on marching while the dogs keep on barking. How would you interpret it, Okang'o?
The camel keeps on marching while the
dogs keep on barking.
I'm a politician, so my interpretation must be political. I think the benefits of a camel are known, and they can persevere very adverse climatic conditions. And therefore, they're very useful during a drought or during situations that demand perseverance. So the camel could be a country that is undergoing that. The dogs could be the leaders who just say nothing, talk too much, and do very little. So the country will continue even with leaders that do very little but say so much. That's my interpretation.
How do you interpret it?
Thank you very much. I want to also look it from perspective of goal setting. When you see camel can take a lot of time before it takes water again, so it can be considered as something that is in the wrong term. If you take, for example, this country, there are those goals that are in the wrong term. That's maybe you can consider that as a camel. It continues, all right? Just the way Kibaki was making Thika Road while so many people were making noise. I looked at that. But the short-term part of it is those people making noise, the way the dogs make noise. So I think it's a teaching where you should target. You should focus on your target and move to other direction, just like the camel. It will focus on where it will take water next.
Just silence the noise and focus.
Yes.
Well said. Well interpreted.
Kabisa. Okay. So, I guess we'll be trying to interpret a couple more things this morning as we get into it. But we'll start off with you, Deputy Party Leader of the Jubilee Party, for whom your party chair is basically being told a number of things. And it is very clear that there's uncomfortability with his involvement in the politics of the day. Whether they're accusations or whether they are reality, that's still yet to be established. But that he may or may not be funding political activity that's taking place in the country at the moment. And that doesn't seem to sit right with a number of people. So much so that a motion is being suggested that his perks, while they're constitutional, essentially be stopped. What is your thought about this at the moment?
Thank you very much. Let me put the perspective the way it is. Jubilee political party has been there in leadership, and the party leader, the current party leader, who has been the party leader of the party, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, was the president of this country. And he led for 10 years out of the 60 years of independent Kenya. And he has a lot of experience, and is a person who would like to see Jubilee in the future, in the long run. Actually, his target is for Jubilee to be just like American parties, Republican Party or Democratic Party, that started so many years ago. Having said that, when he retired, there are people who thought, who are saying or thought he should also retire. But according to him, the way he tells us, because he's our party leader, is that he wanted to give to pass the party to Kenyans, just the way he passed administration to President William Ruto.
Okay.
But immediately he handed over administration, and he called for an NDC, that is the governing council, to hand over the party. They started now making a move to grab the party. That is when he thought, no, that's not the way I wanted. So then from that time, people went to court. They wanted to take the party by force. We have been in court for the last 3 years, actually. We were doing nothing apart from being from courtroom to another. Until 1 year ago, when the court declared that President Uhuru is still the party leader of Jubilee.
Okay.
So it is not that he's so much interested in doing politics, but he's guiding us so that he can hand over Jubilee to the future generations. And actually, he's in the process of doing that. He has appointed Fred Matiang'i as one of the DPL. I am also one of the DPL. Keoni is there,
Yes.
and also Beatrice from Mombasa. We are 4. And he had told us, take the mantle. We are doing that. But having said that, we are also insisting that he should guide us to make sure that at least Jubilee is stable and it goes back to leadership.
Okay. But beyond that, and it's not thoughts or emotion, it's been said very clearly that there are certain political activities today which suggest that former President Uhuru Kenyatta is funding directly. Many people have said this. And as a result of that, they are saying that certain things should be removed. So just hold that thought for a minute. Fred, let me tell you some of the things that the president, the former president, is allowed to have constitutionally, and that which they're saying they should be withdrawn as a result of the, I don't know if it's a premonition, that he is funding a monthly pension equal to 80% of the current president's salary, a lump sum payment equal to 1 year's salary for each term served as president, an entertainment allowance equal to 15% of the serving president's salary, a housing allowance equal to 23% of the serving president's salary, a fuel allowance equal to 15% of the serving president's salary, allowances for electricity, water and telephone, full medical cover including overseas treatment for the retired president's spouse and eligible children, a fully furnished and maintained office space provided by the government, 2 saloon cars replaced every 3 years, 2 four-wheel drive vehicles replaced every 3 years, government paid vehicle maintenance, security personnel and staff support, access to VIP airport lounges, diplomatic passport for the retired president and spouse. Senator Cherargei of the Nandi County came out the other day and said, you know what, I'm going to push a motion so that these things can be removed on the back that he may or may not be funding or supporting certain political initiatives. Is there a problem with his doing that if he actually is?
Thank you. First of all, in the interest of disclosure, allow me to disclose that I am a member of the Orange Democratic Movement, and I serve in the Strategic Planning Committee, and I also advise this government, the broad-based government.
Okay.
That disclosure is very important. Number 2, what you have read to us is the provision of Section 4 of the Presidential Retirement Benefit Act that provides for what benefits that the retired president or deputy president, if you like, shall benefit from as a statutory privilege. Number 3, I want to start my argument from the constitutional provision under the Bill of Rights, Article 38. Article 38 provides that every person has a right to participate in political activities, to participate in the formation of political party and enhance its activities. That right is not an absolute right. However, it is a right that you cannot deny anyone, including a retired president.
Okay.
So let's proceed.
All right.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta is a former president and therefore qualifies to benefit from the provisions of Section 4 of the Presidential Retirement Benefit Act, as you have articulated. But that act in Section 6 also gives us the roles of a retired president. And 6.1 says, a retired president shall perform the role of consultative and advisory to the government and to the people of Kenya. Now, here we are. The president has been accused, the former president has been accused of funding political activities, doing so many things. In that act also, it says the president, retired president, shall not hold office in a political party. My good friend DPL has told us that President Uhuru Kenyatta is the party leader of Jubilee, and therefore he holds office. Remember the act says that a retired president should not. However, I started from the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, which is supreme to any other law. And therefore, my argument is there's nothing wrong with President Kenyatta doing all these things. But the question is political. There's a tension between the constitutional rights and statutory privileges. Cherargei, in his motion, and I've read that motion, he suggests that because of all these things, and he quotes, he cites section of the Retirement Benefit Act, Section 6, that prohibits a retired president from actively participating in political activities. For sure, President Uhuru Kenyatta has been actively participating. But what is my argument? My argument is that the drafters of this constitution were aware that a president is a politician. And therefore, it would be very difficult to separate the president, the person, and the president politician after ceasing to hold office as the president. So that is a right that you cannot deny anyone, including President William Ruto. You will not deny him that right. However, how do you control the fact that the statutory privileges given to the president, a retired president, can be abused to the extent that those services can be used to advance a political activity that is against the government of the day?
Who decides,
that is the argument.
Who decides if it's an abuse and to what degree this could be? Who decides? Is it if it rubs me the wrong way as a politician and I wake up one morning and say, okay, well, this rubs me the wrong way and it is an abuse? Who decides it's an abuse?
You see, the issue is not who decides. The issue is the interpretation.
By whom?
How does the court interpret? Remember now, I'm aware that there are people, I think, they're either file or they're planning to file to stop that motion. So it is the court to interpret the statutory privileges versus the constitutional right. In my argument, I've always argued that any person, as Article 38 says, is entitled to those political rights. You cannot. And what I am struggling with as a politician is that how do we ensure that those statutory privileges, remember, President Kenyatta never stopped being president. And I'll explain. Because look at the benefits. They are hefty. He is entitled to at least 2 or 3 personal assistants, a chef, 3 cars of his choice, which are replaceable every
2 cars
3 years.
of 2 different kinds of
Yes,
whatever every 3 years.
3,000 cc. Those are big cars. They're not small cars like mine. 3, this is a person that has got constant security. Protection. So this is a president that is not only sitting in State House, but walking around and enjoying his retirement. So you cannot differentiate him. If he was to walk in here, actually he would walk in as a president because he enjoys those privileges. So my argument has been, as we go about our politics, how do we ensure that such people who have been privileged enough to be president and are protected by law, statutory and the Constitution, do not abuse the powers and privilege they are given? My party has accused President Kenyatta of funding a faction within our party. Those are allegations. But I have listened to President Kenyatta. He was put on a speaker in some function, I think in Kajiado. And he made, pardon? Narok. Yeah, Narok, sorry. And he made certain political pronouncements in support of his candidate, Dr. Fred Matiang'i. And he told his people that they should advance the ideals of the party. So ideally, President Kenyatta is actively involved in political parties. The statute that you read to me prohibits a retired president from actively participating in political activities or even holding a political office. But the Constitution grants him those provisions. But we know the Constitution is the supreme law. So any other law is subservient to the Constitution. So I don't want to argue to that level. My argument now comes to political. It's not legal now. I am saying the role of the president in Section 6 of advisory and consultative of a retired president is more important to me as a Kenyan than his participation in politics. His participation in politics is his right. His personal decision. But how about if we had a retired president who is consultative, who is advising the people, who is advising the current government? Because when he took oath of office, that oath of office, even if you exit office, it goes with you to your grave. You took oath of office to defend your country, to defend your people, to protect them. He is still a Kenyan. I would want to see a retired president in the name of President Kenyatta doing exactly that, consultative and advisory role, so that all these challenges that we have as a country, he can also offer solution. So these allegations, though they have not been substantiated, but they are allegations that politically would be perceived to be true.
Yeah, I mean, Manje, I want to look at, if you look at the Article 38 that has been mentioned, where every Kenyan has the right to join or participate in political party, form one, and champion its role. That applies to former President Uhuru Kenyatta, right? He chooses where to be. And when we talk about him advising, consult the people of Kenya, it does not expressly say that it is a must. It is an expectation. It is statutory. He chooses to.
It is statutory, but the language in the statute is shall.
This is what I'm saying. Also, him not participating politically, it is not a constitutional ban. The Constitution has not banned him from doing all these things. So then one asks the question, even when the president is, former president is in this political party and championing its roles, right? The Constitution allows him to do that. The others is, one would say, shall, but it is not a must that he does it. Because where we sit, if I disagree with what the leadership of the day is moving, then do we say that just because the Constitution says that I advised, but I disagree with what you're doing, I should do that? Does it make sense?
Actually, let me first correct it. I don't know. It is just an allegation that he sponsors another political party. But remember, Jubilee is a parliamentary party that is sponsored by the Exchequer. Actually, if you recall the Political Parties Act, all the political parties that have members of parliament, elected members, are funded by the Exchequer. And Jubilee is one of those parties. And the activities, most of the activities that we do on the ground currently are sponsored by the party itself. Like we are opening offices in all counties. We have done it in Narok. We have done it in Nyandarua, Nakuru, Nyamira, and many other parts of this country. And it's Jubilee that's doing without even involving the former president. So we have activities that we do without the involvement of the party leader. Actually, what he's doing is advisory. And maybe what Kenyans react to is when he just comment on something, or when he comes out of his praise. Like now, he has been quiet for quite a long time until last Saturday when he made that call. Previously, I think the burial he attended, the former Senator Karaba burial, is when he committed. Before that is when Raila died. So it is after some times that he comes out and says something. Just the way President Obama would do in America. Just the way Clinton would say, to guide his party to the future. He's not actually active in politics, and he has told us the same. We have been having NEC meeting, and he has told us the party, he will not be active in the party as far as it's concerned, but he can give guidance. All right? So the role he's playing, and it should be taken as that, is that guidance of the party in the future. And since he's a Kenyan and he belongs to a particular party, whether he was a president or not, he has a right to comment about the party because he's a member. He's a registered member of that political party. And it is clear in his mind that he wants to remain in Jubilee.
Okay.
So
I wonder why folks would have their knickers in a bunch even if Uhuru Kenyatta were to open his mouth again about anything political. And a lot of what we're talking about today is innuendo. It is a thought that perhaps something is happening. And if it gets to the point whereby it needs to be proven, we've not even reached there. Again, as both of you have stated, these are allegations. And then somebody's going to say that the burden of proof lies on the person who accuses. He who alleges then must prove that this is the case before we now start going down that rabbit hole. But I would fashion a thought around there seem to be a myriad of issues that the country ought to be focusing on, rather than whether Uhuru Kenyatta opened his mouth about a particular faction out of a particular party or anything like that. Should our focus really be on whether Uhuru Kenyatta sent 1 million shillings somewhere for a political rally, or if the economy of the country is tanking, or if what is going to happen, for example, if the IEBC is not able to pay Smartmatic 500 million shillings. Do you see what I'm saying? Why are we focusing on something for which the opinions of Kenyans really, for them, does not matter right now? Should that energy not be placed somewhere else?
Let me refer to the motion by Cherargei.
Yep.
What is that motion intended to achieve? If you're a student of political science,
I am.
You would argue that that motion
It's diversionary.
is not only diversionary, but also intended to provoke.
Absolutely.
The government of the day has not commented on it. They have not given it thought. They have not said anything to support that motion. In any case, though, for such a motion to be tabled, the initiation of that motion must start from the National Assembly, not in the Senate. So you can already see that, and that motion must be supported by not less than 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly. Have you seen it in the National Assembly? No. However, Cherargei, as a politician and a legislator, he is free to do whatever he's doing. And that's why my argument, and somebody who supports this government, I have maintained that that motion violates the provision of Article 38. In fact, it violates the provision of Article 151.3 that says that those benefits shall not be varied to the disadvantage of the former president. That's the law. So if they are varied in a manner that disadvantages him, then it is not right. Because those are basic human rights. It is a Bill of Rights. Now, why is this happening? You have asked, are there not other important things that we can do? For sure, there are many important things. We have got issues of housing, issues of SHA, issues of corruption, issues of youth unemployment, very many, that legislators should put more of their time to ensure that they address those issues of concern to the people. However, politicians have a way of stirring emotions. They have a way of engaging people in parliament and outside parliament. In my view, this motion is null and void ab initio. It doesn't even exist because no one is going to give it a thought. However, President Kenyatta, former president, there are certain things he has done that, in my view, makes him look, partisan in politics.
Like what?
Like, for example, he has made it clear as a former president that for him, he will support a different candidate. It is right and that is constitutional. But in the lens of politics, you expect a president that being in that office previously understands the challenges of the country and would easily be consultative and offer advice to the current regime, whether he supports them or not, because as a patriotic Kenyan guided by the national values and principle of governance, he is bound by that. Number 3, former President Kenyatta has made it clear that the young people must fight for their country. It has been perceived to be inciting by certain politicians.
Perception is not always.
I am just
reality.
saying what has happened. I'm submitting that it has been perceived to be insightful. Number 4, the former president has been seen with President Ruto several times. He has been seen, he has been spotted inside State House, walking around.
Yes.
I want to believe that was consultative. I want to believe that was advisory. So, my argument will remain that no one, absolutely no one, can deny President Kenyatta those rights. However, we must call him out like any other politician when he do certain things that, in our view, as the political class, in our view, as Kenyans, does not go well with what we believe in.
Okay.
I give you an example. I believe, I strongly believe that the president must be presidential whether you retire or remain in office. And therefore, to preserve the dignity and neutrality of a president, there are certain things you must not say. And even if you say them, you must say them in context. If I was President Kenyatta or former president, I would say some of these things in my Jubilee meeting, in my Jubilee boardroom. When I get out there, I will play politics of unity, politics of advancing development, not politics of confrontation. Because as a former president, when you play politics of confrontation and you are seen to be not neutral in terms of developmental thought, then people will start perceiving you or alleging that you are funding factions of political formations to the disadvantage of the current president. That is what we have seen.
Okang'o one asks the question. We have come to you, Manje.
Sure.
There has been allegations that Uhuru Kenyatta has been funding the Linda Mwananchi faction and other political parties to destabilize the current regime. And one asks the question, even if this is what is being said, it has to be backed by some sort of evidence. Why do I say that? Because the government of Kenya today has access to each and every single person's way of moving money. The government of Kenya can investigate and give us evidence as to why they are saying this. Because everything else that is out there is just innuendo and talk with nothing backing that information. It is why even today, as people are saying Uhuru Kenyatta is funding party ABC, there is no evidence backing that, and all that remains is a jilted lover who just does not want to accept fact that former president does not agree with what is happening. Because you said when he was in State House, it was assumed to be what? Consultative, and that is welcomed. But on the other hand, the president, if he disagrees with what is happening with the government, that is wrong. One would say he is consulting and advising that what is happening in government and the way things are going, is advising and saying, change how you're doing business.
You know, I will not be shocked or surprised if ultimately I hear that President Ruto and President Uhuru talk on phone regularly. They are politicians. I will not be shocked to hear that Senator Sifuna and President Ruto, or Senator Sifuna and former President Uhuru talk on phone or meet. I will not be shocked. They are politicians with interest. So, whatever is displayed in the public might not be the truth. I submit by saying that all these allegations against President Kenyatta are maybe, and I'm using the word maybe, because of his lack of neutrality, and it has been perceived that maybe whatever he says does not give dignity to the office that he once held. Today, the former president is still president. The only difference is that he is not sitting in the presidential office, but his conduct, the way he conducts himself, the privileges he enjoys, are only downscaled, but they're the same. So anything he does is scrutinized in the lens of a president that should serve everyone, not only a specific party, a specific formation, or a specific audience of people.
So government is a combination of policy and politics.
Correct.
All right. Does the Constitution bind a former president to be neutral politically? And does it bind him or her, I don't know when the her will ever be, of a former president, but does it bind the individual about the position they can take about where the country will go in terms of direction? Does it? Does it bind them to be neutral?
I think it doesn't.
Yep.
It gives the guarantee for every Kenyan to participate, to join any political formation, any association, any organization, so long as it is a legal organization. Having said that, I don't see anything wrong for a former president to guide Kenyans on the correct person, because you see, if he tells them Matiang'i is the correct person for this particular point in time, he's talking from a point of information, because he had these ministers, he was with them, and anytime he gave Matiang'i a certain role to play, he did it to the perfection. So what is wrong with telling Kenyans that this is the correct person I know who can perform? And also, the other time he was accused of not being very clear on the direction he would like maybe Kenyans to go. This is the time he's saying now, I want to be very clear and tell you this is a person who can perform. And actually he's very clear, and in his mind, given all the people who are working under him, Ruto included. Ruto was working under Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta and other ministers. He was very clear. He's very clear that Matiang'i is the only person who can perform better than others. What is wrong with directing Kenyans towards that direction?
Well, maybe we can ask the question
position
that makes everybody a little bit uncomfortable then, is that what is actually wrong with former President Uhuru Kenyatta opening his mouth and saying, well, I've got a few coins here and I'm ready to back somebody who is going to follow a particular direction in which I feel the country needs to go. If it's a consultative process that he's involved in, whether it's talking about maybe the desires that he has for the country moving forward, can we just ask the question in the open here? What's wrong with that?
I don't see anything wrong. Furthermore, if, for example, Jubilee decides to make a fundraiser and he contributes, what would be wrong with that one? Any other person, any other corporate body can fund. So money is money to facilitate somebody in another direction. What is wrong, and what I think it's wrong, and he has stated it, he will never take a microphone and on top of a vehicle and say, I support so-and-so. All right? But consultation, he will tell them this is the correct thing. Furthermore, one thing that we should also ask ourselves, do we want the former president not to participate in anything? If a friend dies, he should not go to that burial. And if he goes to that burial, he should keep quiet until the burial is over. And then he goes back home. So he has to talk. He has to say something. He's a politician. He has been in politics for over 40 years. So a politician will always be a politician. He has something to comment. He has a direction to give to this country. And there are so many people who would like to follow him. All right? He's a mentor to many who would like maybe to follow him. And we know he's a person who was custodian of public goods and also the facilities that the government has.
Okang'o, one ask the question, in Uhuru Kenyatta's advisory role, should he speak the government's language in his advisory role? Second of all, in calling out the government, should he as well do it in the boardroom? Is it wrong if he calls out the government in public? And finally, one asks the question, if this bill that is being pushed by Cherargei, the motion that is being pushed by Cherargei is null ab initio, why push it?
Now, I'll start from the last question. Cherargei is a politician, and as I said earlier, the intention of the bill is to provoke and to play politics, the motion. So it is null ab initio, it's not there. Number two, former President Kenyatta, let me start by explaining circumstances under which the privilege he enjoys can be withdrawn as per the statute. Number one, if the president is convicted for more than 3 years. Number three, if there is any gross misconduct substantiate gross misconduct in whatever he does and violation of law, or if he was removed from office for gross misconduct or violation of the Constitution, those benefits, he will not enjoy them. But here is a president who was not removed from office, he retired, and the expectation is that he should advise and be consultative. The consultation should not happen only in boardroom. It can happen in public.
Because expectation is not law.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Actually, the wording of that section is that the former president is expected. So the expectation is not law, but it has been drafted in a statutory language
to suggest that we would like
he
you
is
to support
expected
the
to do
state.
certain things.
Okay.
And it should not speak this language of the government of the day. That is not consultative. Consultation can also mean, I tell you, by the way, in my view, I see that the issue of unemployment is a big issue, and therefore, I don't think you're doing it right. That is consultative. And there's nothing wrong with that. But because the president or the former president is a product of politics, the law allows that person to be in active politics after exiting office for only 6 months. That is the law. So after 6 months, he should not be actively involved, as DPL here has said. He cannot go now on top of roof cars and start campaigning from Kasipulka Bondo to Narok to Turkana. But he can enjoy the rights of Article 38 and decide which formation he will support and how he supports it and how he advances those ideals. That is okay.
I mean, it would be fantastic if in this instant people suddenly would be worshippers and followers of the Constitution,
and
whereby
I
we
agree.
see that there are current cases where the Constitution is not followed.
I agree. And my argument has always been, maybe we need to adopt or rethink of our state as the US. Look at Barack Obama.
Openly
A lot of
campaigned
times,
against with
because
Donald Trump.
That jurisdiction allows.
Yeah.
In our country, I have a problem with this Benefits Act.
Too much.
My problem is it tries in a way to gag the provisions of Article 38.
Yes.
At the same time, it tries to provide proportionality so that it does not stop participation, but limits in a way that a former president cannot do certain things. We know the danger. The issue is the benefits that the president is enjoying are public money. They're public funds. And therefore, he must be accountable. But is it possible that a former president can abuse the statutory privileges enjoying and benefits to advance a political narrative or a political agenda? It is true. It is possible. That is the balance that we have to do. And I want to see somebody going to court seeking for interpretation of this. Do you know we have got so many statutes that have been declared unconstitutional by the courts? So at this point in time, I have said the government of the day is not worried about President Kenyatta. The government of the day has not commented on that motion. The government of the day has not in any way suggested that he is doing something that is a threat. However, there have been allegations. Until these allegations are substantiated, but as a Kenyan who lives in this country, I have seen the president participating in politics. I have seen him taking a path that suggests that he has his candidate. He doesn't need to support Ruto. He can support whoever he wants.
Yes.
And we can compete and defeat him.
And that
That's
is okay.
true.
It's true. Can I give you
So for me, I submit by saying that the only problem that we might have is when the former president gets involved in activities that are illegal. That are illegal.
Yes.
And plus the fact that these privileges that have been given to him are of benefit and they're not on issues of constitutionality or not. These are benefits that are being given to him from taxpayers' money.
Yes.
What we are talking about right now is not a foreign thing. And we keep saying, well, let's not compare ourselves to Western nations, but how about we compare ourselves to African nations? Jacob Zuma, South Africa, openly campaigned against current President Cyril Ramaphosa. Openly, it was no secret. Did it over and over and over again. Cyril Ramaphosa is currently serving South Africa. Thabo Mbeki also in contrast to Zuma, campaigned for the ANC and indirectly supported Ramaphosa. Ian Khama, Botswana, he turned against his successor, which was Masisi, and campaigned for the opposition groups. It was open, it was not hidden. José Eduardo Santos in Angola also fell out with his successor, Lourenço, after he launched anti-corruption investigations against him. He was out of government, but he was still able to use whatever he had to launch these support. I'm going to go on. Aziz in Mauritania clashed with his successor. Uhuru Kenyatta, again, is an example that's being used. Daniel Arap Moi campaigned for Uhuru Kenyatta. Laurent Gbagbo in Côte d'Ivoire, returning from the IECC, re-entered politics and became part of the opposition efforts, challenging the incumbent Ouattara, who became president. We can go on and on and on.
There's something that I want to, before Manji comes in, there's something I want to bring to your attention. I want to read to you verbatim Article 24 of the Constitution of Kenya. All these rights that we enjoy, to some extent, they have got limitation. And it says, a right or fundamental freedom in the Bill of Rights, just like the political rights in Article 38, shall not be limited except by law, and then only to the extent that the limitation is reasonable, justifiable in an open and democratic society based on human dignity, equality, and freedom, taking into account all relevant factors, including blah, blah, blah. Now, the law that attempts to limit these provisions is the Presidential Retirement Benefit Act. And it attempts to limit it in Section 6 by saying that a retired president shall not hold office in a political party or shall not actively be involved in politics. That is how it attempts to limit it. However, the Bill of Rights gives the president or the former president that right to do so, to participate in formation of political party and advancing its supporting. Now, that's why I am torn between.
The Bill of Rights is the first part of the Constitution.
It is a pillar.
Yes.
In our Constitution.
So what we are saying here is that it overrides everything else.
Exactly. So that was my argument from the start. And what I'm trying to say is, why don't we seek interpretation in court of these provisions of the Presidential Benefit Act so that we are clear? I can tell you, any president who exits office will be tempted to remain in politics past the 6 months that the law requires. Even any other that will come will do so, because these are products of politics. And lastly, look at it this way. If William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta did not vote for the same person, I want to believe, even though voting is a secret ballot. But I saw Uhuru was supporting my candidate then, Raila Odinga, the late Raila Odinga, and Ruto was running on his own. And therefore, I want to believe that Ruto voted for, Kenyatta voted for Raila. Now, those differences that they had were political. But after that, I saw a different Kenyatta that handed power to Ruto. After that, I saw another different Kenyatta that actually met the president of the day, Ruto, in what I believe was consultative and advisory, as the law requires. But I have also seen a president, or former President Kenyatta, that has made it clear that he is not intending in any way to support the government of the day.
And he doesn't have to.
And he doesn't have to.
I'm just putting facts.
Yes.
That's what I've seen.
Yes.
So I believe that as President Kenyatta enjoys those rights, for as long as those rights that he enjoys, they are not used to advance a political narrative that is against the law. And it is important that we protect the office of the former president. It is important that we support it. It is important that we look at it with dignity. Unless the holder of that office decided that he doesn't want dignity, he doesn't want respect, and therefore he goes into politics of abuse, he goes into politics of incitement, he goes into politics that the people of Kenya will start wondering, did we really have this gentleman or this lady as a president. Yes.
Yeah. Manje, therefore, what we so far gathered is that we have the law, we have the constitution that protects the position of former president, and that he enjoys that right to be in a political party and to advance the purposes or whatever agenda is being pushed by that political party. That today the noise that we hear pretty much is diversionary and not really focused on achieving anything that will help Kenyans. Because by the end of the day, if you look at what the constitution provides and the motion that is in parliament, like our good lawyer here has told us, it is null ab initio. Perhaps what we should be discussing is, with these rights that we do have, with these freedoms that Kenyans do have, how can Kenyans participate in a political process that allows divergent views, whichever position you do hold? That's how I look at it. That trying to fight Uhuru Kenyatta simply because he supports a different candidate who also calls out the government is not helping champion political freedoms that are there in the constitution.
True. Anytime an act contradicts the constitution is supreme. And that is what we should respect. Maybe what the members of parliament would be doing is to try to change that act. That's my act to make sure that it does not exist. It does not limit the former president to 6 months. And also what I want to tell them, Uhuru is not getting salary for keeping quiet. That you should keep quiet so that we can give you salary. No, he's getting benefit from what he did. He worked for this country for 10 years as a president. So what he's getting is benefit, not that he's supposed to be paid because of his keeping quiet. So it should be clear in their mind. Two, what they're trying to do is to embarrass the former president, because that benefit to it by itself means almost nothing to Uhuru. If they remove, he will continue as usual. Actually, if they give him an option of removing the benefits and he takes the microphone, he would prefer maybe to go that direction and make sure that he puts MCA to the lowest point in this country. So what they'll be doing is they want to embarrass the president. They want to remove. They want to be seen active.
Who are these they?
The people around the president.
The motion is moved by
the member of parliament of Nadi. But you see,
maybe are you saying
he might be acting on behalf of somebody? They must have sat down and said, now to tame this person, we have to embarrass him in public. That is the main idea. They sat down and said, maybe the senator of Nandi should come with such kind of an act. If it came by himself, he thought of it, then he should be advised. But also what I can tell them, let them stop abusing the president in the media or openly. You know, it is not good for this country. We are not educating our children the right way. And if Ruto does not stop them, he will also be abused after retirement.
And I think that's exactly where I wanted to go next, because Okang'o, we look at these motion, say it sails through or changes do happen. We know that William Ruto will not be a president forever.
Correct.
He will be a former president. And he's equally a politician.
Correct.
And he would want his opinion after.
And he will enjoy the same privileges.
Will enjoy the same privileges.
Correct.
Are we looking at him as the leader of government today, looking at the future as well, and just saying no to his to those that support him and saying this thing will come to bite me later in the future? Because if you limit the position, if you limit the functions of the office of the former president, I will be former president at some point, and at that point I would want to equally my views in a political party and right to be in a political party to be championed.
Okay. The strategic dilemma that we have here, and I think Du alluded to that, is that should former presidents be neutral elders or should they be active democratic actors in politics?
That's the question.
In my view, they should be active democratic actors in politics, because the constitution allows them in Article 38. Now, as far as I'm concerned, President William Ruto, who knows that he will serve 2 terms and go home and do other things, in my view, has no intention in any way to try and gag former presidents, to try and embarrass former presidents, to try and demean former president, because he will also be done so, be done to so. So the action by members of parliament or a member of parliament or a legislator in the president's party does not or is not equivalent to the action of the president himself. The members of parliament are supposed to legislate, represent, and oversight. And the mover of that motion is a member of UDA, Cherargei, my friend. I don't think in any way he was sent by the president. I don't think. And that's why I said, I have observed the president. I have observed the government of the day. I have seen the operations around it. I have not seen anything close to giving attention to the motion that is sponsored by Cherargei. And therefore, it is not in the interest of the government of the day to try and gag President Kenyatta or former president, but it is in the interest of the government of the day to ensure that whatever the former president does, he does what is constitutional and within the law, and to everyone, not only him. So I submit by saying that all these things, they come around at some point. And it is important that as Kenyans, we live and we respect the provisions of national values and principle of governance, because we are bound by them. If President Kenyatta is a patriotic Kenyan, if he's somebody who believes in sustainable development, if he's somebody who believes in unity and equity, then I want to believe that even with these allegations, he can come out and say, you know what, you have accused me of funding Linda Wananchi, for example. I am not doing so. All I am doing, I am trying to make this country better by doing 1, 2, 3, 4. That is accountability, that is consultative, and that is advisory. That is what we expect from President Kenyatta. But when he keeps quiet and he calls on phone to advance political ideologies of his party and other people, then it is likely to be perceived or to be alleged that he is funding certain political factions and he is participating actively in politics. And he gives room for people like Cherargei and others to draft motions and start playing politics with it.
As they may, but that at the end of the day, it's what
or maybe as they should.
As they could. It's dead cat strategy, in my opinion. And I want to thank both of you for being here this morning. The hope is that people can actually do what they're supposed to do in terms of elevating the country in the levels at which they're supposed to, legislating, budget making, oversight, and perhaps leave the shenanigans to the shenanigans. Thank you very much for being both. Yeah, well, I don't know if I said that on purpose or otherwise, but thank you both of you for being here this morning. Really appreciate for pushing that conversation. Strategic Advisor Fredrick, Okang'o, and so Joseph Manje, Deputy Party Leader Jubilee. Thank you very much. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.